is the pentagram used in Wicca? Hi, I'm Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, and if you're new to this channel and you want to learn more about how to be a witch or Wiccan, hit the subscribe button below so that you don't miss anything. This video is about the pentagram and specifically about how we work with it in the Wiccan tradition. The pentagram is a symbol that has a huge history. It was used by the ancient Greeks, the Babylonians, possibly even earlier than that. Various places in the Middle East still very strongly associated with it. It's on the Moroccan flag. The five-pointed star is a symbol of the Baha'i faith. Freemasonry has the pentagram in there. It's always been a sacred symbol, and to the Babylonians it was used on protective charms, which is probably where the whole thing of it being a protective symbol comes from. Further down the track in Western occultism, it started to be associated with the tip being spirit and the 5 points being the elements of earth, air, fire and water. And spirit was the magician's will dominating the 4 elements. And that is pretty much how it is worked with in the craft, because the craft takes a lot of our magical training from Western occultism and ceremonial magic, particularly the influences of the Golden Dawn. The whole energy around the pentagram has always been really positive. Even the Christians had the pentagram as a symbol of the 5 wounds of Jesus and the 5 senses. So it was a part of their symbolism as well in their early stages. It started getting associated with evil further down the track. And in occultism, because it's been associated with the spirit dominating the elements. Eliphas Levi, who was an ex-Catholic priest, who was a great occultist, came up with the idea that if you turned it upside down and the point was pointing downwards, that it was actually the elements, that spirit was no longer dominant over matter, but that matter was now dominant over spirit. Now, you have to understand that this is coming from a dualistic mindset, and that whole idea of matter being bad and spirit being good, which isn't really part of the pagan paradigm. We believe that everything is sacred. But when you understand the dualism of his thinking, because he was the one who invented this idea, you can kind of understand where he got that idea from. So ever since then, the pentagram where the tip is facing downwards has been associated with evil and bad things. But originally, it wasn't. Originally, even in the Moroccan, if you look at Moroccan glasses, some of their ceramics, the things that their crafts, the pentagram is often a part of their crafts, because it's a very, very big part of their symbolism. You'll find the pentagram will be have the tip facing up or the tip facing down. It doesn't actually matter to them. It doesn't actually have a bad or a good symbolism depending on which way it's turned. It's purely a Western, seems to be a purely Western phenomenon that came from Eliphas Levi. So it's a very recent association. Really what the pentagram is about is, from a protective point of view, it's something that has come through from the Babylonians, but it really is a symbol similar to the hexagram, of where the hexagram works with the planetary influences, the pentagram works with the elemental influences. So with the pentagram, depending on how you draw it, it will either call in an element or it will banish an element. So similar to the way that the Chinese or the Eastern philosophy works with the pentagram, which is where they go through the 5 elements, and they can put the 5 elements around the points of the pentagram, and it's a transformation between those elements and the different directions that you can work the elements in order to bring balance to the body, if it's to do with healing or other spiritual work that they may be doing. It's all based on the elements and working with balancing out the elements to achieve what it is that you're wanting to achieve. And that's actually how we work with the pentagram in Wicca as well. So we can call in the element of earth if we need more earth, if we're invoking the element of earth. At the 4 directions, when you're doing a traditional Wiccan circle, you will work with air, with fire, water, and I said air, fire, water, and earth. And you can do different pentagrams and start at different places in order to invoke or to banish those elements. You can use the pentagram to be able to bring more water into a space. So if you're in an environment perhaps that might be very fiery, like maybe there's a lot of tempers, or people are really grumpy and fiery in an environment, you can quickly draw up a water pentagram and bring more water into the space to balance out that fire energy and to cool it down, essentially. If you need more earth in a space, you need more grounding, you can draw an earth pentagram, or you can do a banishing air pentagram if you're all up in the head and if there's a lot of sort of flighty stuff going on. The thing with the pentagrams is that you're wanting to make sure that you're very specific in why you're drawing your pentagram, because you don't want to be invoking elemental forces. You just want to be invoking the energy of the element. So if you're wanting to bring more water into a fiery space, you're not actually wanting to bring in the elementals of water in that space. You're just wanting to bring in the cool energy of that space. So when you're drawing the pentagram in the air, make sure that's the intention, is just to bring in the cool water energy and not the actually elementals of water, because you don't want them causing problems. This is probably more advanced stuff than beginner's stuff. So this is more for people who are familiar with pentagrams and have been studying the craft for a while and know how to work with the energies. Pentagrams, the Banishing Earth pentagram is a really great pentagram to just pretty much banish anything that is in you that's causing a problem. So it's the most common pentagram that people will use. So it's the Banishing Earth pentagram. And when you're banishing, you're actually drawing the pentagram away from the element. So it's away from the element, whereas if you're invoking, you're drawing the pentagram to the element. So that's how you'd be using it. Banishing pentagram is good for pretty much banishing anything. So if you are wanting to use your pentagram for protection, make sure that you're using the banishing one and not necessarily invoking the earth element, because you may end up with some earth elementals running around causing a muck. And I've had that happen, so I know that from experience. Yes, so that's the pentagram. That's how we use it in Wicca, and that's how we use it to balance and to protect. Its history comes mostly, the protection element comes from the Babylonians, but there are other ways of using the pentagram at the same time. And there's a hell of a lot of information out there on the pentagram and its history, because it does have a lot of history. Pretty much all of it's been good up until Eliphas Levi came along with the inverted pentagram idea. So it's not a bad symbol. It's definitely not a symbol of evil. It never has been traditionally. It's always been a symbol of protection, or simply a tool that people used to be able to bring balance into their environment and help them create the life they want to create in the same way that you do. And if you are wanting to study Wicca and witchcraft in a more formal way, so that you know where to start, what practices to do, how to work with various different deities, the Sabbats, the lunar rites, your own energy and magic, and you've just been fumbling around for a while trying to figure it all out by yourself, I have the Mystery Witch School Academy course, which is a 12-month course that you can take to learn how to be a witch and a Wiccan, learn all the things that you need to know to set you on your spiritual path, have it as a spiritual practice to be able to have more connection with yourself, with nature, and of course connection with the goddess and the god at the same time. The details to that are in the description field below this video. Have a wonderful week. I will see you on the next video. Blessed be.